Yo, what's going on? It's your main man, Rick the Dawn. Look, so I just want to take a moment to give you some background insight about my signature shoe and just have a moment with you. I feel like I don't want to present the shoes and make it feel professional. I just kind of wanted to feel like I'm talking to a friend. And that's what we're going to do. In this episode, I'm going to show you all five versions of the Don 1 sneaker and give you some information about what I was thinking when I created it. And again, this is all informal, so excuse the setup and everything is just how I am in real life, and I'm not in Rick the Dawn mode, if you will. But yeah, my journey into sneaker making really starts when I was in elementary school. I think like first, second, third grade, something like that. I had always been an artist because my father was an artist, and I would just draw nonstop. And at some point, I got really into basketball cards. This is around the Michael Jordan era, probably like 92, 93, when he was just everything to every young guy like myself. And I was infatuated with his shoes. Infatuated. I didn't know at the time that shoes were art, and that's probably why I had such a connection with it. I also did not understand the design mastery by none other than Tinker Hatfield, who is my favorite shoe designer of all time. He's the designer behind the Air Jordan 11. If you don't know that, I just had to throw that in. I'm probably gonna always throw that in, but nevertheless, I would get a notepad and I would draw shoes, sneaker after sneaker after sneaker after sneaker, until the entire book was filled. And lo and behold, now I'm actually creating shoes. It's the most amazing thing that I never thought would happen. And here we are. So it was about 5 years ago when NBA 2K came out with a feature within the game that allowed you to create custom shoes for any character. And it rebirthed my passion for shoe making. And it was just amazing just to be able to tinker all day long and just try to figure out what looked the best. And then to see that shoe on your character in the game, that was just mind blowing. But even then, I didn't realize what was coming, because what was coming was my signature shoe. Amazing, man. And being from Detroit, a place that's highly known for fashion and alligator shoes and things of that nature, big suits, flashy, that's where I'm from. And I put all that into my shoe. It's crazy, man. It's really crazy. So let's jump into it. I want to show you all five versions of my signature shoe, the Don 1. And here we go. The very first one is the Don 1 OG. This is the very, very, very first Don 1 ever created. So in 10 years, once everybody has this on their feet, this is the first one. All right. Now, this is the OG. And the reason I went with this color scheme is because if you know me in real life, then you know I absolutely adore gold. Whether it be gold watches, gold chains. I love gold in my glasses. I'm just a gold freak. And I also love the color black. And to be more specific, I love when black and gold are combined. When I made this shoe, I didn't realize I would go this extreme. Like, to go gold croc skin, that's pretty bold. And I didn't think I would do that. But in hindsight, it makes the most sense. It's actually the most truest representation of who I am. Now, this was a very difficult decision because I've never been a big fan of the shoe sock. But I just thought that I would give it a try, and I'm actually very happy that I did. But this is the very first one. I remember going through this shoe and changing things and tinkering with things, trying to get my logo right. It's just been a labor of love. And, a little information on my logo. Look, I call myself Rick the Dawn, which to me is a variation of the word king or someone that's a leader. And I said, what symbolizes that more than anything? Being the Dawn, it was really a AK-47, but that's not family friendly. So I had to go with the next thing. To me was a crown. And there you go. The Don 1 OG. You can get this right now. And if you do get it, yo, take some pictures, post it online, and at me, man. I just think, oh yeah, one cool fact about this shoe that I don't think anybody really knows, besides the fact that it's made in Italy, of course, not China. But one cool fact about these is when you put them on your feet, you're gonna feel elevated. You know, that was one of the things that I really wanted to drive home. I wanted you to feel taller when you wear the shoe. So I don't know if you can tell, but you get about that much taller when you wear the Don Don one. And when you wear them, it feels like you're towering over the cement. And it's just a really empowering feeling. So that's all intentional. And the Don Don 1 OG, baby. Let's go. The next shoe is the Don Don 1 Jelly. Now, look, I told you at the beginning that I'm all but in love with Tinker Hatfield. I just think he's the greatest person ever. I love his design. I love who he is outside of design. I just love his style. He's a very classy man. And, you know, this is like my dedication, or rather, me paying homage, if you will. It's me paying homage to Tinker Hatfield and my favorite shoe of all time, which is the Air Jordan 11 Bread. That's my favorite shoe of all time. So I didn't want to rip it off and copy it, like make this patent leather, you know what I mean? So I had to keep it true to myself, but I just wanted to make sure that, you know, if I have to never wear Air Jordans again because now I am my own brand, if I can't wear Air Jordans again in public again, at least I got something that's comparable, right? Look, I don't have to tell you this, but this is probably my favorite shoe of all time. You know, I'm gonna tell you why. Because I love the black croc skin. I love, this is one of my favorite parts, the gold eyelets. It's one of my favorite things. Again, it kind of incorporates that black and that gold. So, you know, you're never gonna see me stray away from three colors. Not too far. Most likely, if you see me anywhere, unless I'm trying to be very daring and bodacious, you're gonna probably see me in one of three colors: red, black, or gold. Those are my favorite colors by far, right? Within hip hop culture, there was this thing called red bottoms, and I was like, wow, people really like the red sole. So, you know, that's what I went with here, okay? And I don't know if there's much to say about this shoe besides look at it. I mean, just look at it. When you have these on, it's such an empowering feeling because, for one, you have that elevated sole that makes you feel taller. But on top of that, they look extremely stylish. And I mean, the leather is just beaming from anywhere within the room. Yo, this is the sneaker that I've always wanted. Like, I would not be exaggerating to tell you that I like this shoe more than the Air Jordan 11. Never thought I would say that about any sneaker on planet Earth, not even my own. But this is it, man. This is the Don Don 1 Jelly.
Where's your black ass?
All right. And next is my boldest design. People either really like this shoe or they hate this shoe. There's really not much in between. And I'm going to be honest, this is me just designing and saying, I want to create something that is completely different. I felt like when I made the Don Don 1 OG and the Don Don 1 Jelly, I was being too safe. And I didn't like that. I said, I need to create something that challenges even my own stereotypes, my own notions. And this is what I came up with, man. It's like it's like nothing I've ever seen. And I tried to come out with this bleached look. And I'll tell you another design factor that really contributes to what I was trying to do. I wanted to create something light because I have this thing about white shoes that, you know, they're easy to get dirty. So I always wear darker colors, not just shoes, but colors in general, because I just feel like white showcases dirt. So my first two shoe designs, you can see that I went heavy on the dark colors and color schemes. So with this one, I said, I want to keep it open, keep it light. Like if you don't want to wear red in your outfit, or if you don't want to wear gold, like what can you wear but still support the Don Don 1 legacy? This is my answer to that question. All right, the beautiful white sole. And if you're from like my era, what was that, like the 2000s era, then yeah, you know all about the white sole. You know the Air Force One, for example. You know, this shoe is one of those shoes that I think goes very well with, like, you know, sweatpants, like that more laid back look. You know that look when you don't want to come across as if you're trying too hard, but at the same time, like you're paying attention to your own color scheme. This is the shoe I wanted to create for that. I think people will absolutely adore this shoe as time goes on because, again, there's just nothing else like it. You know what I mean? And it's funny when I get hate for this shoe because, look, let me tell you something. You can't tell me anything about design. When it comes to design, there's nothing that somebody just making a comment on the video can tell me. I understand design better than the average person. I literally have a degree in visual arts. So like I know what looks good, I know what looks bad. And it's funny because they'll try to make me feel bad about this shoe while they have on Crocs. And I'm not taking a dig at Crocs. I'm just saying that what's popular is not necessarily what's the best art. But the Don Don 1 Wheat, okay? That's what this is. And you know you can get this right now today. And yeah, much love to it. Absolutely love the shoe, love the design, love the color scheme. I love everything about this shoe. And one of these days, I'm going to find the perfect outfit for this. And I'm going to rock it out. The Don Don 1 Wheat. All right. Next is the Don Don 1 Lion. Now, this shoe is just a loaded piece of work right here. The first thing was, I said, I've never seen a black and blue shoe. You know, most shoes avoid a hard dedication to that royal blue. And I said, why not be the first one? I want to be one of the first to do it. I don't want this to be like a color swap with the Don Don 1 Jelly. Because, you know, a lot of people often say, okay, we're going to put red and blue in contrast of one another. For example, you'll notice that I did not go white on the Italian leather here. I could have done that. But I said, you know what? I want to really make a shoe for blue heads. Like people who love blue, I don't know. I don't see how you could not like this shoe. It's like a over dedication to blue. Now, one or a few things that I want to make note of. I almost went black here for that Italian, and also went black, or almost went black for the sock of the shoe. But again, I had to remind myself that I want my brand to be synonymous with risk-taking, bold individuals, dons, leaders. And I think this shoe represents all of that. Now, that's one aspect. The other aspect is I said to myself that once I release this shoe, whoever design, or I should say, whoever contributes most to the initial launch of the Don Don 1, I would create a shoe inspired by their sports team's colors. And naturally, Detroit showed me the most love at launch. The conception of the shoe, rather, was also during the year that the Lions, for the first time in a long time, made it pretty deep in the playoffs. So this is also a commemorative shoe as well. You know, it's celebrating Detroit Lions and their success to this point, which also coincides with the colors for the Pistons, which is like that hard royal blue. I believe the Tigers also have some strong blue in the uniform. So this shoe is really synonymous and really celebrates just Detroit in general. Of course, it has all those other elements like the gator skin, all that stuff is still here. But again, it's just a hard dedication to that blue. This is it right here. It might be the only shoe that melds that blue and black together as well as I did it here. Okay, it is a little extreme. I understand that. I accept that. It's a little extreme because, again, it's not common for designers to use royal blue this significantly. But again, I am not your everyday designer. I'm just not. The Don Don 1 Lion. All right. Now, if the Don Don 1 Jelly were never invented, this would probably be my favorite Don Don 1 to date. Now, I do have some ideas to go and try a few more things. Right now, there's only 5 variations of the Don Don 1. I have maybe 1 or 2 more designs that I want to kick out, but that might be at a later time once this shoe starts to pick up momentum. Because right now, it's just a difficult task to get the entire world to know that this indie designer, this little kid from Detroit, has created a shoe. It's very difficult, so it's been a process. It's been a labor of love. But if the Don Don 1 Jelly were never a thing, this would be it. Okay, the Don Don 1 Phantom. And when I created the shoe, I was trying to figure out, like, what does this remind me of? It took me so much time just to try to understand. Like, it reminds me of something, but I can't figure it out. You know, that reminds me of a song. Like, you remind me of something. I just can't figure out. Girl, please let me stick. Okay, completely inappropriate. So check it. The Don Don 1 Phantom is just absolutely stunning to me. This is a shoe that can be worn with anything. I mean, if you're dressed up, it goes with that. If you're dressed down, it goes with that. If you're going the more formal route, this just will not disappoint. You have the black on black on black. It's just blacked out. And then, of course, sticking true to that whole phantom concept, you have the beautiful white Italian leather here along with that white logo. I mean, it's just a shoe for classy people. Like if you're wearing this, man, it'd be difficult for me to believe that no one's looked down and said, what are those? Right? These are just different. Now you can't try to act like, oh, those are some little cheap shoes from this or that. Look, let me tell you something. There ain't nothing cheap about what you're looking at right here. You got genuine Italian leather, croc skin, all right, stitched together by a master craftsman from Italy, designed by a 30 plus year art major. Do the math. It's not hard to figure this out. Okay, I don't have to have the big name. I got the big game, man. This is what this is. All right, when you look inside. All right, I always show that off because we're in a climate or time where a lot of shoes are being made very cheaply. Okay, and that's just not what this is. You know, and it's crazy as I'm looking at this. I'm like, yo, I might have to come out with another variation of the Don Don 1 Phantom where this part right here goes black. Like seriously, that but you know, I'm gonna tell you why I didn't go that route, because it just didn't have the pop. You know, when you go black here and then maybe even a variation of black for the logo, it just didn't have the right amount of pop. It just wasn't enough contrast to create that look down effect. Like when you look down at these, that white is going to pop out because it's by itself for the most part. And yeah, so believe me, I did look at the all black silhouette and I said, you know, it's just missing something. You know what that something was? That something was the white Italian leather and the logo. So, you know, I feel that I've pretty much come out with the best version of the Don Don 1 in this variation. Again, I have maybe one or two more ideas, but they're not, I'll give you a little sneak peek. My next design for the Don Don 1 will be a dedication to my mother who passed away from breast cancer, right? That one will be a labor of love. That one will be me just doing something to honor my mother. But in terms of style, I have to say between the Don Don 1 Phantom and the Don Don 1 Jelly, I feel like these two most represent my style perfectly. Okay, I really like this, but I think that I've done a pretty significant job with creating variations that fit just about every type or every personality. But nevertheless, this might just be my favorite Don Don 1 right here, the Don Don 1 Phantom. That takes care of the shoes, and I do think that it's warranted to give you this as well. All right, the shoe box. This is the shoe box for the Don Don 1 OG, and it was such a blast to make these. And this is the shoe box for the Don Don 1 Jelly. And a lot of people might wonder, like, why did you go a more muted color or version of red for the Don Don 1 Jelly? Well, I just wanted to look like jelly, and I felt like that looked more like jelly than a hard red. All right, then I got the Don Don 1 Wheat. Love this box, one of my favorite boxes of the series. And the Don Don 1 Lion. All right, the shoe box got bigger. I don't know what's going on with my manufacturer, but I still appreciate what they did because now it has a drawstring instead of the magnetic strip, which sometimes is a little finicky. So when you buy the Don Don 1 OG or the Don Don 1 Jelly, you might get the newer box. I think they're making new boxes for all variations. All right, pretty dope, right? And then last but not least is the box for the Don Don 1 Phantom. Beautiful box there, very polished. Yeah. There you go, man. Just in case you're wondering, yo, Rick, where do I get your shoe? I feel like I've said it 1,000 times, but what I often have to remind myself of is that not everybody knows what's going on in your life. Not everybody has seen any of your videos. Like literally, there are people watching this video right now who have never even heard of me before. So it's a little frustrating because I've been doing this thing for so long, not just shoes. I'm talking about music, shoes, clothes. Like I got a clothing line, bhshirts.com. Like it's crazy just how busy I've been. You know, I got just about everything. You know what I mean? And I got tech websites. I mean, so you know, you get a little frustrated because people are learning about you a little late, and you almost feel like you're kind of repeating yourself. But you know, I often have to remind myself to remain humble and realize that this is a journey, and people are going to pick it up when they do. Okay, it might take 5-10 years from this day for people to really understand who I am and what I bring to the table. But with that being said, that's not your fault. You know, it's my fault more than anything. Maybe I'm not marketing in the right manner. But if you want to check out any of my shoes, here's where you want to go. AliveShoes.com/brand/Rick the Dawn. All right, you put that in, you'll be brought to my brand page where you'll be able to look at every shoe I've ever created to this point, and you'll be able to support yourself. You know, you're not supporting, you're supporting yourself. When you walk into a space and you got on shoes that nobody's ever seen and they don't look cheap, you win. Game over. I want to do one last thing before I go, and that is place every shoe in the screenshot, thumbnail, whatever you want to call it. Okay. All right. I gotta do this, man. It's like one of those things. Oh, this is difficult, but I just gotta do this because it makes me feel good inside. There it is, man. There it is. That's it. It just feels good to do this right here. You have no idea. All right, every version of the Don Don 1, okay, in one spot, in one video, in one shot. Of course the Don Don 1 OG falls off first. Which of the Don Don 1 variants is your favorite?